Smoke drifted through the ruins of Outpost Epsilon-9, carrying with it the metallic scent of blood and ozone. The sky above was a canvas of ash, streaked with the contrails of retreating ships. Silence settled over the battlefield. Not peace, but the hollow stillness that follows annihilation. Beneath the fractured hull of a collapsed defense tower, a faint flicker pulsed in the gloom. A cracked visor reflected the dim light, revealing a face pale with blood loss and grit. Sergeant Nathan Hale exhaled a ragged breath. Against all logic, he was still alive. His armor, scorched and dented, constricted with every shallow inhale. Systems screamed in fragmented warnings. Suit integrity, critical. Power core, unstable. Heart rate declining. He ignored them all. Pain was distant now, dulled by exhaustion and disbelief. Around him lay the remnants of his squad, his family in everything but name. Private Silva's arm extended toward him through the rubble, still clutching a sidearm that would never fire again. Captain Drake's helmet lay cracked nearby, its calm light blinking uselessly. Nathan's throat tightened as he forced himself to look away. Grief could come later, if there was a later. Above, alien drones hovered with methodical precision, scanning for any trace of life. Their sleek designs cut through the smoke like silver predators, engines humming in perfect rhythm. The invasion had lasted less than 6 hours. Humanity's last bastion in this quadrant had been erased from existence by the Alien Council's forces. They had come not as conquerors, but as executioners, their purpose clear and merciless. The Council's decree was simple: eradicate the human contagion. Nathan remembered the broadcast that played before the bombardment began. The cold, resonant voice that declared humanity's resistance a statistical inconvenience. Now he lay buried under the weight of their efficiency. Every breath felt like defiance. He reached toward the cracked rifle beside him, fingers trembling as he brushed the dust from its surface. The weapon's name, etched along its stock, caught the faint light. Whisper. It had served him across 3 campaigns, from the frozen moons of Kaldar to the jungles of Virex Prime. The rifle had always found its mark. Its owner had always survived. He wasn't sure if that was luck or cruelty. Somewhere above, a shadow passed. The sound of alien engines deepened, followed by the resonant hum of a dreadnought descending through the clouds. The air vibrated with its presence. Through his shattered visor, Nathan caught a glimpse of the massive vessel hovering over the ruins, an obsidian leviathan adorned with the insignia of the Council. In its core burned a shifting light, as if the ship itself were alive. Miles above the devastation, in the dreadnought's command hall, the Council gathered. Holographic forms shimmered around a grand obsidian table, each member of the governing species represented by a different alien physiology, scaled, crystalline, or ethereal. Their voices blended into a chorus of synthetic harmony. Epsilon-9 has fallen, one intoned. All human resistance terminated. There is one signal remaining, said a lesser officer, its voice hesitant. A single human biosign detected beneath the ruins. Minimal threat potential. The Prime Speaker's crystalline eyes glowed faintly. Irrelevant. Deploy cleansing drones to sterilize the surface, then proceed to the next sector. Humanity's flame has been extinguished. Across the hall, the aliens murmured in agreement. No one objected. No one believed a wounded human could alter the course of history. The dreadnought's engines rumbled, and the fleet began to ascend. On the surface, Nathan felt the vibration fade as the ships withdrew. Dust rained from the broken ceiling above him. The light from his helmet's HUD dimmed to a faint glow. The world had gone quiet again. He was alone. He forced his body to move inch by inch. His limbs screamed protest, but he didn't stop. Pain meant life. Life meant purpose. With effort that bordered on madness, he dragged himself free from the debris. The world greeted him with ruin. Blackened earth stretched to the horizon, dotted with the skeletal remains of towers that once touched the clouds. Smoke rose in slow, twisting columns. He could hear the faint crackle of distant fires and the occasional whine of a dying machine. Nathan activated what little power remained in his armor. The HUD flickered to life, showing a map of the outpost, 50 kilometers of nothing. No human signatures. The council had succeeded. A pit opened in his chest as realization settled like lead. He was the last. He scavenged what he could from the corpses around him. Ammunition, rations, a half-charge power cell. Every action was mechanical, guided by training that had outlived hope. When he found Captain Drake's dog tags buried in the dirt, he closed his fist around them and slipped them into his chest pouch. "Rest easy, Cap," he murmured, his voice hoarse and raw. "I'll handle the rest." Night crept across the wasteland, bringing with it an unnatural stillness. Nathan built a small fire from broken rifle stocks and shattered drone plating, its dim orange light reflecting off the ruins. He sat in silence, the flames painting his armor in shifting patterns of light and shadow. His thoughts wandered to Earth, its oceans, its cities, the laughter of people who still believed the stars held promise instead of death. He wondered if they knew what had been lost here. A sharp beep from his helmet broke the quiet. A faint transmission, barely coherent, played through static. "Council, withdrawn fleet, cleansing complete." The voice was alien, but the words were clear. They were leaving. The war, at least on this world, was over. They believed humanity finished. Nathan's jaw tightened. His hands curled into fists. The aliens were wrong. They had made one mistake, one he would make them regret. He looked to the horizon, where the faint glimmer of alien ships still burned in the upper atmosphere. Somewhere beyond those clouds sat the council that had ordered humanity's extinction. He rose to his feet, steadying himself on the butt of his rifle. "You should have killed me when you had the chance," he whispered. The firelight caught in his visor, turning his reflection into something fierce and inhuman. In the distance, the last of the dreadnoughts vanished into the stars. Nathan watched until the sky was empty, then turned away from the light. The ruins of Epsilon-9 stretched before him, silent, desolate, and waiting. Each step he took through the dust echoed with purpose. The war was over for everyone but him. Dawn crept across the wasteland in fractured light, glinting off twisted metal and scorched earth. Nathan Hale crouched beneath the remains of a toppled communications tower, his armor patched with salvaged alien plating that shimmered faintly under the rising sun. The night had been long, filled with the sounds of distant engines and the mechanical chatter of drones hunting survivors. None had found him. His breathing was slow and measured, every movement deliberate. Weeks had passed since the fall of Epsilon-9, though time had lost meaning in the perpetual haze of dust and ruin. What mattered was that he was still alive, and the enemy believed otherwise. He spent his mornings listening. Alien patrols followed predictable patterns, efficient, mathematical, arrogant. The Council soldiers trusted their sensors more than their instincts, relying on drones and data to confirm what their eyes could not. Nathan had learned to exploit that. He moved when the wind was strongest, when debris shifted naturally, when background noise masked his steps. His suit's systems had been repurposed from survival to warfare. The power core he'd scavenged from a fallen Sentinel now ran a field disruptor that blurred his thermal signature. By the second week, the ruins had stopped being a tomb and become a hunting ground. Nathan began testing his rebuilt rifle, a fusion of human craftsmanship and alien technology. The barrel was reinforced with crystalline alloy, the firing chamber modified to handle plasma discharge. Every shot burned blue and precise. He named it Whisper, though he never said the name aloud. In the silence of the wasteland, words felt sacred. His first target was a patrol transport. He watched it glide across the valley, engines purring softly, 3 alien troopers visible through the cracked hull. They moved like predators certain of dominance. He steadied his rifle, heart rate sinking with his breathing. One shot tore through the air, invisible and absolute. The pilot collapsed, and the craft spiraled, crashing into a ridge with a plume of flame. He didn't wait to admire the destruction. By the time the response teams arrived, Nathan was gone, a shadow already repositioning for the next strike. Each attack was methodical. Supply convoys disappeared. Outposts went dark. Communications relays were sabotaged in the night, leaving entire sectors blind. The aliens began to whisper of a ghost that hunted them, a human who refused to die. They gave him a name in their own language, HFY, meaning the unseen wound. Nathan intercepted one of their encrypted transmissions, translated the term, and allowed himself a faint, humorless smile. The unseen wound, he murmured, adjusting his scope. I'll take that. But vengeance was never clean. With every skirmish, his mind replayed the faces of his dead squad, the laughter of comrades who would never return. He slept in fragments, haunted by voices from his helmet's corrupted recordings. Some nights, he replayed Drake's last command, not for comfort but clarity, to remember why he still fought. The Council thought of humanity as an infection, something to cleanse. Nathan intended to become the symptom they couldn't eradicate. One afternoon, as he scavenged power cells from a downed transport, he overheard alien chatter through a damaged comlink. They were bringing reinforcements. Command had grown impatient with the losses. For the first time, he allowed himself a grim sense of satisfaction. His campaign of sabotage had reached their ears. They had noticed him, and that meant fear was spreading. Nathan began leaving messages carved into stone or painted in the blood of his enemies. Simple words, still here. For Earth, you left me alive. He didn't do it for theatrics, but for precision. Each phrase was a psychological strike, a reminder that the human they dismissed was dismantling them piece by piece. The aliens, proud and logical, did not understand defiance born from grief. That made them predictable. When he discovered the wreckage of an alien relay hub deep in the forest outskirts, he saw opportunity. The structure still pulsed faintly with power, its antennas reaching like broken limbs toward the sky. He spent days repairing and modifying it, using its uplink to intercept Council transmissions. What he found confirmed his suspicions. The Council had declared the sector unstable due to persistent insurgent activity. The word insurgent almost made him laugh. He was one man, yet they had recalled ships from other fronts to hunt him. The arrogance that once blinded them was now turning into paranoia. That night, beneath the fractured dome of stars, he composed his own transmission. The alien relay hummed as he synced his voice through its channels, translating his words into a dozen dialects. Across the occupied zones, alien soldiers heard a voice cut through their frequencies, calm, human, undeniable. You should have killed me when you had the chance, he said. He ended the broadcast there. No signature, no coordinates. Silence followed, then static. Somewhere out there, alien commanders barked orders, sensors swept skies, and fleets altered course. The hunter had announced himself, and the prey no longer knew where to look. Nathan dismantled the relay afterward, scattering its components across the valley. The act wasn't caution, it was ritual. He was no longer just surviving. He was shaping fear, sculpting it with every bullet and every whisper of static that carried his name. The days grew colder as the planet's orbit shifted, and he adapted, layering thermal sheets into his armor. He lived on nutrient packs and harvested water from condensation traps, his body lean and mechanical in its precision. The ruins around him had become home, each shattered wall a vantage point, each shadow a weapon. He no longer dreamed of rescue or return. There was no fleet coming, no Earth to reclaim. There was only the mission. Make them remember humanity not as victims, but as predators who learned to fight in extinction shadow. Late one evening, while observing the horizon through a scope, he caught sight of movement, something larger than a patrol craft. The engines glowed violet, unmistakable in their design. The Purge Division had arrived. Elite units, sent when extermination required certainty. His pulse remained steady. He powered down his rifle and watched as the ships descended like falling stars. He had wanted their attention. Now he had it. The war, once lost, was beginning again, this time on his terms. The night sky bled with the light of descending warships. Nathan watched from the shadowed ridge. the glow from the Purge Division's landing craft casting fractured beams through the forest of stone and ash. Their engines thundered like the wrath of gods, shaking the ground beneath him. He could see the precision of their formation. Each drop ship disgorging ranks of soldiers clad in obsidian armor, their movements synchronized and mechanical. The Alien Council had sent their best, not to conquer, but to erase. The thought filled him with something cold and certain. They feared him now. That was enough. He knelt beside a crater, checking the calibration on his rifle. Whisper hummed faintly, its core fully charged. Around him lay a network of traps, pressure mines, signal jammers, and decoy heat signatures. He'd spent days preparing for this moment, sculpting the ruins into a weapon. Every shattered tower, every collapsed archway had a purpose. This battlefield was his, and he intended to make a grave. The first scouts advanced at dawn. Nathan tracked them through his scope, 3 units moving cautiously, scanners sweeping for movement. He waited until they stepped into the narrow valley below. The shot cracked like a whisper of thunder. The lead soldier dropped, armor punctured cleanly through the chest. The others froze, scanning wildly, then fell one after another, their lifeless bodies collapsing into the dust. The aliens didn't understand how a human could fire from beyond their sensor range. They never had. By midday, the ruins echoed with combat. Drones hovered overhead, firing plasma bolts that seared stone and air. Nathan moved like a phantom, never staying still, always 2 steps ahead. His mind operated on instinct and calculation, the muscle memory of a soldier, sharpened by rage and necessity. When ammunition ran low, he lured enemies into traps, using explosions to shatter their formations. Every scream, every burst of alien static fed the fire in his chest. Through his helmet's comm receiver, he intercepted their panicked chatter. The human is still alive. Sector 4 compromised. Another voice, higher rank, barked, "Contain him. The Council demands results." He smiled grimly. They still believed containment was possible. By evening, the sky burned orange from ship fires. He crouched atop a ruined spire, scanning the horizon. Movement caught his eye, a column of armored figures advancing through the smoke. At their center walked a towering alien draped in command sigils, its form radiating authority. Nathan recognized the angular crest on its armor from the intercepted broadcasts. The Council commander himself had come to oversee the purge. He adjusted his scope, lined up the shot, and hesitated. Killing the commander from afar would end it cleanly, but something deeper stirred in him, a need not just for victory, but for understanding. He needed the alien to see him, to know what they'd created when they left him alive. Lowering his rifle, he descended the spire. He moved through the ruins like a shadow. The commander's guards formed a perimeter, scanning the debris, but their technology couldn't read intent, couldn't measure vengeance. Nathan slipped between fallen columns, every step deliberate. He reached the edge of the courtyard and waited. When one of the guards turned, he struck, a blade forged from salvaged plating cutting through armor and sinew. The alien collapsed soundlessly. The others reacted too slowly. In seconds, the perimeter was breached. The commander turned as Nathan stepped from the smoke, rifle raised, visor cracked, but eyes burning behind it. "You." The alien hissed, voice resonant and layered. "You are the infection." Nathan's finger hovered over the trigger. "No," he said quietly. "I'm a reminder." He fired. The shot struck the commander's shoulder, spinning him to the ground. Plasma flared as the alien retaliated, energy blasts searing the air around Nathan. He dove behind a collapsed wall, rolling to reload. The alien advanced, shouting in fury, each step shaking the earth. They met in the center of the ruins, rifle against blade, man against monster. Nathan's movements were precise but desperate. His armor was failing, warning lights flashing red across his HUD. The alien swung with mechanical strength, shattering stone. Nathan countered, plunging his knife into exposed joints, feeling the vibration of metal meeting flesh. Sparks erupted as the commander struck his helmet, cracking the visor completely. For an instant, Nathan saw the alien's face, cold, luminous, beautiful in its cruelty. He caught the commander's weapon arm and fired point-blank into its chest. The alien staggered back, a hole burning through its armor, the light within dimming. It fell to its knees, looking up at him with something like disbelief. "Why fight?" it rasped. "You cannot win." Nathan stood over it, chest heaving. "I already did," he said. Then he fired one last time, ending it. Silence reclaimed the ruins. Smoke curled into the twilight air, and the wind carried the faint scent of ozone. Around him lay the wreckage of the purged division, bodies scattered like broken idols. His suit's power core flickered, nearly drained. He looked up at the sky, where alien ships still burned in orbit, falling like dying stars. He activated his helmet's recorder, patching into a damaged relay tower nearby. The system crackled, unstable but functional. He broadcast one final message, his voice rough and calm. To the Alien Council, he said, "This is Sergeant Nathan Hale of Earth's Defense Command. You made one mistake. You left a human alive." He paused, letting the static carry the weight of his words. "Now you understand what that costs." He ended the transmission and lowered his rifle. The planet around him was silent, but it no longer felt dead. Somewhere across the galaxy, alien fleets would listen to that message, and the name of the last human sniper would pass between them like a curse. He had given humanity something the Council could never erase, a legend. Exhaustion washed over him, but he refused to fall. He gathered what little remained of his gear and moved toward the horizon, limping through the dust and fire. The war was not over. It had only changed shape. Beyond Epsilon-9, there were other worlds under alien rule, other survivors perhaps still breathing in the shadows. If any of them were listening, they would know now that the fight was not finished. Behind him, the ruins of Epsilon-9 smoldered under a bruised sky. Nathan didn't look back. He walked until the night swallowed him completely, a lone figure fading into legend.